Right, so I've got myself one of these off Amazon. I'll put a link description. It's about £21. I think £21.99 I paid for it, but I don't know what the price is now. But for me, it's the last bulb on the bike that's a standard light bulb. You know, you've got LED indicators, LED tail lights. I've put LEDs in the headlight. So I'm hoping that's going to sit in there. Quite simple to fit, but then we've got to wire it in. So for fitting, what we've got, I know this has to come apart. We've got a few screws under here, so there's a few under there. Pull the screws out, pull the mudguard apart, and then bit at a time. Starting with, this piece is optional. On the Senke website, it shows this as an optional piece. You don't have to have it fitted. It's a wind deflector of some sort, but then it really does look naff without it. So it very stays on. Right. Next up, there's some bolts from behind this panel here. One more thing to undo. Lock. That was easy. I'm going to have to make a cut to keep this belly pan underneath. I'm going to have to cut it so that we keep this section. I don't fancy not having it. So because that's the main under tray, which is normally attached to right up there, you can see I've cut it nice and neat. I've tried to cut it off sort of dead square, so I cut it dead square across there, try to give it a nice edge, and sat there with the grind. I use ankle grinder, yeah, just cut it down nice and smooth, and then a little bit of sandpaper on these edges to make it look nice, so when it goes under, and the belly pan, because the rear fairing sort of uses these notches here and it slots into there, so obviously I didn't want to lose these tabs because they're holding the rear fairing up, same as these mounting points. Obviously gave it a little clean because, you know, I'm not putting the dirty part back on. Yeah, so because that used to be in there like that and the frame was there, I need to find a couple of threads because, you know, it used to live like that with the rest of the mudguard attached to it. So if I just find a couple of probably 13mm nuts, 30mm nut and bolts, just to hold that all together. There you go, see that's solid now and everything mounts to it. So we've got this little one to put back in. There we are. That's happening. The decision is, because a lot of people don't put the handle back on, but I kind of like the look of the handle. Let's leave that in place for now, we'll decide in a minute. So I've gone with mounting it over there. A few washers stacked up. Focus. You see I've put a big stack of washers between to hold it nice and stable. Just got to do these two bolts up here because I can adjust for, look, I can really tuck it up there. That looks really cool. That way it's tucked, the light underneath. but right behind where that light is the gem, is the original hole for the wiring. So if I had that tucked there, it hides all the wiring going through. So I think that's where it's going to go, tucked right up like that. Oh, there we go. So all the original wires are coming through here. I'll put a cable tie around them in a bit. But I've a bit of heat shrink and solder. Got the two wires. I used a spare old, what was he? It was the smashed indicator that was on the front from the accident. So I've just used those two bullet connectors because there was no way you'd be able to crimp. Those wires are so thin, you'd never crimp to them. So I've soldered and heat shrunk. And you can see I've soldered heat shrunk to there. Put that around it just to keep it a bit neater. And then the resulting LED is, look at that. I think that looks brilliant. I've got to straighten these out a bit. They're pointing a bit upwards. But we're nearly there. There we go. She is all on. I'm actually liking that angle. That sits really nice. I love how that is slotted right in that little groove. Could have done a better job up here, but you know, who cares? Either way, that does look the nuts. I've still got to put my LED headlight bulb back in, but let's do that. Oh, look. Right, now here's a before shot. As you can see, stuck out very far. And now the after shot. It sits so much nicer now, doesn't it? Overall, I'm pretty pleased with that. For what it cost, $21.99 delivered. It looks the part. It just sort of fits in real snug up there, and I'm quite pleased with that. And the wiring loom tucks dead in behind. You can barely even see any wiring loom. Just sort of tucks in. I could cable tie some of that down, but I'm not gonna. Either way, she's looking lovely. Now all I've got to do is give this number plate a bit of a polish up. I know it's a polished number plate, but I'm going to polish number plate off because it's got a bit of sticky stuff on it, because the reflector came off and left a bit of residue. I need to give it, I'll take the little buffer on it and just whiz over it, make it look shiny, stick a new reflector back on there, and it should be good to go. Right, hope you enjoyed it. Link in the description for the bracket I bought, and see you next time.